What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning, yes, Mark Breland. Mark Breland had his tell-all interview, of course, and we have to talk about some of the topics that was discussed in this particular interview. This particular topic is concerning the potential fights or fantasy matchups between himself and the current fighters of today, okay? Of course, he was talking about Deontay Wilder, but this is not what this is about. He was actually talking about the 57-year-old former Olympic gold medalist. He said, to be honest, I could beat Anthony Joshua. I could beat Anthony Joshua. Here's a guy who doesn't have a jab at all. When he fought Ruiz in the second fight, people talked about the jab. That wasn't a jab. He was just doing this feints and tapping. To fight a guy like him, I would out-jab him. I don't think he'd be able to touch me. I'd put him to sleep. The jab can bang that chin and put you down. He said Fury would beat him up, and he has good mind games. I'm going to stop right there. This is leading into another topic. Okay. Mark Breland, of course, is a former Olympian, a golden Olympian. Anthony Joshua is too. He said, to be honest with you, I could beat Anthony Joshua. Now, note, okay, this is fantasy. Him saying that he could beat Joshua, clearly, Mark Breland is a guy that is a lot smaller. So that's like Floyd saying, I could beat Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Now, you have to give account if they were the same weight class. All right. So you look at the amount of skill. Mark Breland, yes, Mark Breland is far more skilled than Anthony Joshua. That's no secret. He was like one of the best Olympic amateurs ever. Okay, that's what he's known for. He's 6'3". He has a long reach. Okay, the guy is very highly decorated from Los Angeles to Munich. Okay, he's done it all. Now, you have to take account on the amount of times that he's been knocked out. Okay, Jorge Vaca knocked him out. Aaron Davis knocked him out. He had a draw with Marlon Starling. He lost by a TKO to Marlon Starling again. Okay, so that was his rival. Okay, but before that, he was an undefeated fighter up until his 18th professional fight. However, saying that Anthony Joshua doesn't have a jab, where the man is decorated for having a jab, is nonsense. Okay, now you don't expect Mark Breland to be any bearer of good news when it comes to Anthony Joshua. And if you notice, here's the counterpunch. If you notice, Mark Breland said, to be honest, I think that I can beat the people that Deontay Wilder's fought. Okay, fair play. But then he said, to be honest, I think I could beat Anthony Joshua too. Well, here's the kicker there, fella. Anthony Joshua never fought Deontay Wilder. Right? So why would you take up slack for speaking of someone that when you were speaking of your fighter, why would you have to say what you think you would do to Anthony Joshua? That was was a rival, I guess, to Joshua, but not someone that he fought. So I thought that was real strange where, hey, the guys that Wilder beat, you could beat, but then you say, well, hey, I could beat Anthony Joshua. The man doesn't have a job. He was feigning. Yes, he was feigning, but he was popping Ruiz with the jab. Now, what he should have said, if he wasn't on some haterade shit, because that's what that is, he should have said, well, look, I'm a better jabber than Joshua. I would out-jab him. Because if you notice, he said, I would out-jab Joshua. He might have been able to out-jab Joshua. Okay, but given at what weight class, again, so that's a tricky thing. Both guys could get knocked out because they've both been stopped. We get that. But at the end of the day, him saying that Joshua can't jab, that's ludicrous. Of course he could jab. If he couldn't jab, he wouldn't have been able to keep Andy Ruiz at bay to win the fight for 12 straight rounds or 11 rounds or whatever, right? So, no, I would disagree with that. But, of course, you have Mark Breland, which is an American trainer, which, you know, these guys over here, they're biased to British fighters anyway. See, Joshua's name will be brought out of a hat when he didn't even have anything to do with the conversation. But his name was added into the type of conversation that brought him in there to bring his name up. So a lot of people say that. A lot of people want a part of Joshua, like, hey, I would beat Joshua. But then, of course, a lot of people say that, hey, yeah, you know, I could beat these guys, especially if these guys used to fight before. And they look at the era, ahead, and they always say, well, you know what, I'm more talented and I could beat that particular fighter. They just do it. But at the end of the day, they can't prove it because it's something that will never happen due to time. Okay? So we've seen this time and time again. We've seen Pernell Whitaker saying, yeah, I could beat Floyd, or other fighters saying I would beat, Trinidad said that I would beat Floyd. You know what I mean? And a lot of people say a lot of particular things of that matter, of that magnitude. But him saying that he could beat Anthony Joshua, based on his boxing ability, I think he can, but don't get it twisted. Him saying that Anthony Joshua doesn't have a jab may be the one that gets knocked out by Anthony Joshua, set up by the jab that he doesn't supposed to have. Counterpunch. Okay, so him saying those type of things just leads me to believe that he was on the other side anyway on Wilder's camp until Wilder really betrayed him. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that he's going to let off saying things about someone that he really necessarily didn't like in the first place. Okay, so I don't think Mark Breland ever cared for Anthony Joshua one bit. Okay, and you can tell the way he talks about him. But, of course, certain things die hard, okay, and I think this is one of them. But back to him saying that he could stop Anthony Joshua, Mark Breland, would he be elusive enough to beat Anthony Joshua, stay out of there? I'm not sure. Because you have to look at it. Height for height, Mark Breland's 6'3". You think a 6'3" guy is going to be able to out-jab a guy that's 6'6"? Okay, so those are one of those things you think about and not get touched. So it's one of those things, again, that, another person takes a stab at Anthony Joshua when he's not even the subject, but he becomes the subject of discussion. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Mark Breland saying that he could beat Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua won't be able to touch him. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.